Welcome to Just Cook It Radio, hosted by Chef Mario Pareca and Bill Alexander. Just Cook It Radio is about food, life, and everything in between. And now, your hosts of Just Cook It Radio, Mario and Bill.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. You are listening to Just Cook It Radio on your local station, 590 Radio, WMBS, and also on FCTV and streaming live at fayettetv.org.
Hey, you got it right today.
I did. I practiced.
I'm really
in the mirror.
surprised because usually you throw another dot something afterwards when you give the domain name. But.
Well, it's a tough one to remember. .org is not a common
well, it is
domain.
If you're an organization.
That's true. I don't know many organizations, so
hey.
we'll just pin it on that, huh?
I own BillAlexander.org and .net.
And if I go to those, what will I find?
You'll find my websites.
Okay, well,
and my blog.
We'll have to check those out.
I always wanted .com, but there's a car dealership in California that has it.
BillAlexander.com?
No, Bill Alexander Ford, but they own BillAlexander.com.
Well,
hey, teach
their
own,
win them
I guess.
all, right?
I try.
I try. But I am Mario Pareca. Alongside me, not from Bill Alexander Ford, but his name is Bill Alexander. And we have a fun and exciting show for you today. But what I want to bring up before that is,
are you going to hum the jingle?
I can if you'd like.
No, I don't.
I want to give the phone number. It's
Go ahead.
855-590-0590, or locally it's 724-812-0590. And you can also give us a text. Text the word COOKIT, COOKIT, to the number 411-247.
Okay.
Okay.
And then what happens if I do that?
If you do that, you get a recipe right away.
Right.
And you'll get a recipe every month after that. Or if you put a space and type something like Hi Bill or Hi Mario, or
we get that information.
Okay,
yes. I got it.
Love the show.
That makes sense.
We want to hear more of it. Stuff like that. Those are the things we like to hear. But also, check us out on the web, justcookitradio.com.
Right.
That's .com.
Right. Okay. Rub it in. Rub it in that we are able to get the .com for that.
And then we have our apps. So if you have an Android device,
an
iPhone, or a tablet, or an iPad, or an iPod Touch,
I feel so special that I have an app.
You just go to the store, or the app store, or the marketplace, or whatever it is, and look for Just Cook It Radio, and there we are.
And not only that, you can also go to Stitcher, Tuned In, Blog Talk Radio, and our video that we have that actually airs on Fayette TV is also airing on YouTube, but the easiest way to get there is justcookit.tv. And also, something I want to bring up real quick, we made a comment that the remote we did last week in Greensboro was going to be airing on Fayette TV on Tuesday, but due to a programming snafu, it will be airing tomorrow, which is Sunday, June 9th, and just following the Herald Standard Home Show.
And this show will be airing on Tuesday.
This show will be airing on Tuesday, so you'll get two. Anyway, never mind.
It's a twofer.
I forgot my jingle is what I forgot.
But
I have cereal on my mind today.
Yes, we all have cereal. Well, I have cereal on my mind almost every day. But today in particular, for a reason, we have Bess Rogers coming up later in the show.
Who's she?
She is a Brooklyn indie recording artist.
What does indie mean?
Independent.
Thank you.
So she wrote and performed the Cheerios jingle that everyone hears on TV and all those commercials. I think there's 5 of them now that use her jingle.
Is there really?
Yes, there's 5 different commercials that use her jingle,
cool.
The one and only Cheerios.
I didn't know that.
So we're going to speak to her later in the program.
Okay.
She's going to call in, and we're going to talk to her about jingle writing, about Cheerios, about all that fun stuff. About
Sounds good.
Her projects and her band and all that stuff. So that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to that, and that's coming up later in the program. And also
wait, stop. Saturday, we do a remote last week. We did the remote at the Greensboro Farmers Market. You gave me this really nice sheet of paper with the rundown on it, and now you're hiding today's rundown.
Well, there's a reason for that.
Oh,
It's because after the show, I asked you if you liked having it, and you said no.
Okay, I get.
So you talked yourself into that one.
I'm sorry.
Am I wrong? I mean, I can bring you one.
No, you're right. You're right. I'd rather be spontaneity, I guess is the word I use.
Yes.
Spontaneous.
That's a good word. That's a big word. That could be one of our words of the week.
Okay.
But I think gazebo was our word
gazebo
of the week
last week.
That was a good one.
And actually you can watch last week's program on justcookit.tv. I actually enjoyed that. I had a good time last week.
It was fun. It was great to be out in the fresh air.
And we're hearing rumors we may be doing some more of these things.
I hope so, especially while the weather's nice.
Yeah, and we need to talk to our friends at WMBS and other people that may have us out in the public.
Or in their homes.
That would be interesting.
If anyone wants to have us over for breakfast,
that would be good.
Like Brunch with Bill.
I used to do that program a long time ago. That's right.
Just Cook It breakfast, something like that.
That would be good. That'd be interesting.
It's fun. It's an idea. But also, aside from having Bess Rogers on later in the show, we also have some guests lined up for the next couple of shows.
Yes.
So we have the brewery from Brews Shiners,
which is Spotzel's Brewery. They'll be they're in Texas, and we'll be talking to them. And one of the reasons why we have them on is because I'm a fan of their product.
Yeah, you've talked about them in the past. It's going to be fun to get to talk to them about their brewing process and the beers they do, and that's coming up on next week's program.
Yes, I know. Hard to believe it.
So mark your calendars.
So soon.
And then the following week, we're going to have Stonyfield on. And Stonyfield is they make a bunch of organic products, organic yogurts, ice creams, different things like that. And their claim to fame is they are all organic.
Now, do I have to hide my Chobani when I do this?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't have it out front and center. We'll put it that way. But
so I can't have it on the table with me. I have to hide it.
Stonyfield, they make great products. They make more than just yogurt, whereas Chobani is strictly yogurt. Stonyfield they do milk. They do yogurt, obviously. They do ice creams. So they're a dairy farm, and they do, like I said, every one of their products that they do is all organic.
Okay, sounds good.
We'll talk more with them about that, and that's on the following week, which is the 22nd.
Right.
So we have a fun-filled couple of weeks coming up.
I'm looking forward to it. I really am.
Today we're going to focus on having Bess on because she's going to be on in just a couple of segments. And so we leave enough room to get to speak to her. I want to make sure she has all the time she needs because that's going to be fun. We're going to jump right into
I wonder if we can
holidays.
get her to sing for us.
We'll have to see.
That's
we'll
worth a shot.
I know for a nominal fee.
Yeah, probably. You're right.
But yeah, I mean, if they have you come over and announce like their day, do you do it for free?
Seems like I do.
Well, I cook for free a lot too, so let's just leave it at that. But Bill, today, happy National Jelly-Filled Donut Day.
Jelly-Filled Donut Day.
Yes.
Now, could you have a jelly-filled cronut?
They are filled. Remember we talked about that last week. They have vanilla pastry cream on the inside.
Yes.
But
it has to be jelly filled.
It's not jelly. You could use jelly.
Could you really?
If they piped it.
Okay, I mean that works.
They're the ones who make it, so I don't think they have that option. They have one staple cronut, and it's in such demand to this point that they really can't do too much with it.
That's true.
So I mean that's really cool.
What did you say? You can only get a dozen or six at a time.
It's a 6
and
limit.
They're sold out within a half hour.
Yes.
Wow.
The line's out the door. I mean when I watched, there's a video that I actually posted at JustCookIt.radio.com.
Yeah.
And there's actually they interview people in the line.
They're
really? Waiting outside, and the one gentleman says he came about 45 minutes before it opened the day before, waited in line just to not get one. So he came back even earlier the following day to make sure he got one.
Did he get one the next day?
I think he did get one the following day, but so yeah, jelly-filled donuts. We don't really need to talk too much about them. Everyone, what's your favorite jelly-filled donut?
I don't like jelly-filled donuts.
You don't like jelly-filled at all?
I'd rather have a vanilla fluff. Or a Boston cream.
Oh, I love Boston cream.
One of my favorites is actually when I go to Dunkin' Donuts, and they have the Pittsburgh special, which is basically a Boston cream donut with vanilla fluff in it instead of the Boston cream.
Okay,
and I like that one.
I like raspberry.
Okay.
Filled. I like I don't think I've ever seen a donut with grape jelly in it. Have you?
No, I haven't.
That'd be interesting.
Now, are you one of these people when you eat the raspberry filled donut with it usually has the white powdered sugar on it, right? That you take the bite and the whole thing plops out of the bottom of it and lands on you?
I've seen that. It's never happened to me yet, but now that you brought it up, it probably will. The next time I have one.
That's one of those things that kind of concerns me why I don't eat jelly filled.
I was just thinking, what if we made a jelly-filled donut with grape jelly and put like a peanut butter frosting on it? I've never seen that. That just popped into my head.
And that makes me think of the new peanut butter Pop-Tarts that Kellogg came out with. Why aren't they doing a peanut butter and jelly one?
That's a good idea.
That's a very good idea.
But they're doing theirs is what, peanut butter covered with chocolate. It's got a chocolate frosting on it, I believe.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is.
So, but today is also, aside from being National Donut Day, and these kind of don't really go together, but it's World Oceans Day.
World Oceans Day?
Yes, World Oceans Day. It's all about sustainable seafood.
Okay.
And we're going to be going to break in a minute,
right.
So I don't want to dive into that yet. When we come back...
No pun intended. Yes. I like that. Yeah, that was good.
When we come back, we're going to dive into some sustainable seafood, dive into some ocean talk.
Sounds good.
About our waters and our streams and our ocean. Well, it's Oceans Day, so we'll leave the streams out. But don't touch that radio dial. We will be right back after these words from our fine sponsors. We are being served up to you today by the Big Barn Country Store and Deli, by Paraka Chiropractic Center, Inc., by 4th Street Barbecue, and by the Herald Standard.
And we'll be back with more of Just Cook It Radio here at Fayette TV. at FayetteTV.org and also on Channel 77 and on your local station, 590 Radio WMBS. Phil Giannetti Motors at 656 National Pike East in Brownsville is a proud sponsor of programming on FCTV. Phil Giannetti Motors providing quality vehicles for 45 years. If you're looking for a quality pre-owned vehicle, give Phil Giannetti's a call at 724-785-6800 or stop by their website, PhilGiannettiMotors.com.
Love will be the first thing that my eyes can see. Wrapped up in these arms so warm with every smile.
Where online with Bill Alexander meets the Mario Cooks Show. Just Cook It Radio.
Dreaming in the grass underneath the sky. Oh, 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 the one and only Cheerios. As you grow.
Good to have you back. You're listening to Just Cook It Radio on your local station, 590 Radio WMBS. I am Mario Pareca. Alongside me, Bill Alexander. And Bill, as much as I love that jingle, and I really do, it's a catchy jingle.
Is it stuck in your head
It
yet?
only takes once. I hear it one time, and it's stuck in there for at least 24 hours.
For those of you that aren't familiar with it, that's what's playing underneath us right now, so you can hear it. Hey, one thing I forgot to mention before we went to break, I also have to thank our friends at Phil Giannetti Motors for giving us the time and helping us with the TV time on Fayette TV.
Yes.
And I got to thank him for doing that. That was really nice of them. And now I just have this Cheerios song stuck in my head. Thank you very much, Bess.
Yes.
I really appreciate it.
Well, we'll be talking to her in a
That's
few
right.
minutes, so we can bring that up. But anyway, when we went to break, we were talking about today being World Seafood Day.
Right.
And basically what that is celebrating sustainable seafood. So just to
Okay.
give you a little more information, basically what happened was in 1989, the world's catch, which is what the world brings in of seafood,
Yeah.
it leveled off at just over 82 million metric tons of fish per year. And that's all the ocean can produce. So sending more boats out won't give us
Won't do
more
anything.
fish. Right.
Okay.
So basically what they started
But
doing was farm
I'm
raising.
going to ask you a dumb question, and you may not. How do they get that number that that's what's produced? Or is it an average, or is it...
I really don't know
Okay.
the answer to that question. I just know the information.
Someone at home,
yeah.
at home needs to
If
Google
you're an
this and let us know.
oceanographer
Yeah. Please call us.
or a fisherman, but that's what they
Or a
say.
fisherwoman, that
And
would work, too.
At that point, they found out that they need to start farm raising fish,
Okay.
which I'm not a fan of.
A big
you
fan
know
of,
that.
yeah.
But anyway, today 1/3 of our seafood is farm raised.
Okay.
So that includes salmon, shrimp, tilapia, catfish. Actually, tilapia and catfish are almost exclusively farmed.
Are they really?
Yes.
Well, catfish I kind of figured, but I didn't realize
And
about
so
tilapia.
What sustainable seafood means is it's the methods that can be sustained by the environment.
Okay.
So either fished or farmed, they want to maintain or increase the production into the long term without jeopardizing the affected ecosystems.
Okay.
So it's producing fish without hurting the ecosystems.
I guess that's a good thing.
So sustainable seafood, yeah, that's why it's such a big thing and why they even have a day now today
To be able to celebrate
So
it,
yeah,
okay.
so there's some tips here and things, and what we'll do is when we do the Just Dishin podcast,
Yeah, we'll talk about
get
it.
more in depth about this and talk about some ways you can select fish and why supporting sustainable seafood is so
Okay.
important and things like that. Because I want to like I said at the top of the show, I want to make sure we have plenty of time for Bess
Right,
and that
right,
interview.
right.
So, and that leads me into one other thing before I continue. If you go to justcookitradio.com, which is our website, check out the Just Dishin podcast, because Bill and I do a podcast every week on top of this show that you're listening to right now.
Well, not on top of it,
Well,
but
yeah.
in addition to.
In addition to.
Yeah.
Excuse me, semantics. Throughout the week. So we'll do an extra that has bonus content. We'll get more in depth, more time with our guests if we can, if they
we
have
can
time.
orchestrate it, yeah.
So it's
And
something
that's
you really want to
that's
check out.
usually done now in the middle of the week.
Yes.
So it gives us some time to recoup from this show and talk about other things and billboard things that are going to happen in the next show.
Because every Sunday morning I have a huge Just Cook It radio hangover. It just hits like
I
a
can
brick
understand
wall.
after last weekend, but
But tomorrow, Bill, happy National Strawberry Rhubarb Pie Day.
rhubarb pie.
Yes, and I've I have a recipe here that I'll post. We're not going to talk about getting in depth with it because, again, time constraints. But I will post it on our blog.
That works.
At justcookitradio.com. And rhubarb's one of those things that it needs. It's really tart. It needs a little sweetness to it, and that's why the strawberry pairs really well with it. And I've never really – the reason I looked up the recipe for the pie is because I've never really baked with rhubarb like we talked about. I'm not a huge baker, but I've cooked with rhubarb many times.
Really?
I've made different sauces with it.
Oh, okay.
Different chutneys,
I understand
different
that.
things like that.
Yeah.
I'm very familiar with rhubarb, but I'm not very familiar with how you would make a rhubarb pie. I mean, I had a good idea of how to do it, but I didn't know exactly. So I have a recipe here.
Is it from scratch?
It is from scratch.
Even the crust and everything?
The crust,
You're not buying one of those pre-made ones?
You can if you want, but that's not what this recipe is.
Okay.
So, and spring is rhubarb season. So why we have it in the middle? Well, I guess it's right around now. We're teetering on the edge. It grows between April.
We're going to fall off into summer.
Don't fall,
Whoa!
Bill. It grows between the best time of the year is between April and June. So
gotcha.
You have about a month now to
there
celebrate rhubarb. I mean, it'll still be decent in July, but after that, I would move away for some other things. Don't fall off the edge. Don't do that. We don't want any injuries.
Do they can rhubarb?
Do they can rhubarb? I've never seen canned rhubarb.
We need to get on Libby on that.
I'm sure they.
I think Libby needs to can rhubarb
jams and things. And you know who has a great rhubarb pie? The Big Barn.
Of course they do.
They have great rhubarb pies. And I'm a real big fan of eating rhubarb pies.
Okay.
And one of my favorite pies that they make is their rhubarb pie.
Is it strawberry rhubarb?
I believe it's mixed berry and rhubarb.
Oh, that'd be good.
And it's really, really
good. That
good.
would be really good, yeah.
That's definitely worth checking out.
Okay.
The Big Barn right on 51 there.
That's after you fall off into summer.
Don't fall off. Get to the Big Barn and grab one. On the 10th, we have a trifecta holiday.
Trifecta?
It's
three.
Yes, we have.
This is
first and foremost.
Okay.
National Herbs and Spices Day.
That's a good one.
Number 2, National Iced Tea Day.
That's a good one.
And number 3, National Black Cow Day. Do you know what a black cow is?
Explain it to the audience.
It's a root beer float.
Right.
That's what
but I don't understand why they've called it a black cow.
And I'm going to tell you that in a minute. And again, for the herbs and spices, I'm going to go over really quickly shelf life because that's very important. And then on the podcast, we'll get into more detail with them. But as far as your herbs and spices go, for shelf life, because I know people in their spice cabinet, and I'm guilty of this sometimes, you buy that jar and you just don't get back to it, and then you go back to use it 2-3 years later, which isn't really the best. Yeah. It's just flavorless powder at that point.
There's no kick to it, I guess you could say.
Kick to it like whiskey.
Hey, I've had some really hard basil before. I mean,
you taste your basil, you make that face. You're like, ah.
Actually, I do.
But anyway, so for herbs,
parsley, I'm not too bad on, but the basil,
we're talking herbs. This is how you can expect. Okay, I need to regroup.
We wonder why we don't get done in time.
This is how you can expect from your herbs that you have on your shelf in your cabinet. So for herbs, dried herbs such as your parsley, your basil, so like the hard stuff. 1 to 3 years is your shelf life, which I wouldn't go much farther past.
Stuff.
Well, you said you get that kick from your basil.
Never mind.
I would, 1 to 3 years is what they recommend, but I would stop it at 1.5 years. After about 1.5 years, it's going to be on the downturn, and it's, it might teeter off the edge, so to speak.
So what are you going to have? This little flag that raises up on your, excuse me, get rid of me now.
No, what you should do is you should have little labels.
Oh, dated.
When you buy it, write the date on the label, put it on your bottle, put it up in the cabinet. Then you know when you bought it.
I thought we had a timekeeper that was in our cupboard that raising little signs. 6 weeks left.
Red flagging it.
Red flagging it.
So anyway, your extracts, your vanilla extract, caramel extract, 4 years except pure vanilla, which lasts indefinitely.
Does it really?
That's what it is.
I actually have a bottle of pure vanilla in my cabinet.
Does that have a kick to it?
I don't know. I don't drink it.
Might have to try that. Anyway, ground spices. These are things like your nutmeg, cinnamon, coriander.
Cumin.
2 to 3 years on those.
Okay.
Whole spices, whole peppercorns, things of that nature, 3 to 4 years.
Really? I wouldn't think they'd be unlimited.
No, pepper will start to lose its...
Is it really potency, I guess?
Yes. And seasoning blends 1 to 2 years.
Okay. I mean, that makes sense.
That's your herbs and spices day. Iced tea, again, we're pretty familiar with. I want to talk a little bit about this black cow thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because that's what you asked about. So black cow, like we said, it's a root beer float. So how it got the name was a pharmacist by the name of Charles Hires introduced commercial root beer. That was back in the day.
Which is
in
the brand that isn't. I don't even know if Hires root beer is still around or not.
Yeah, 1876 is when he brought that out.
Okay.
So then, in August of 1893, in a mining town, Frank J. Wisner, owner of the Cripple Creek Cow Mountain Gold Mining Company. And that's a tongue twister.
I got it where
in
it's
Cripple
coming.
Creek, Colorado. Cripple Creek, try saying that 3 times fast. I don't think I could do it again. I'm happy I got through it once. He also owned a tavern. He produced carbonated soda waters, which were very popular.
Okay.
So as the story goes, he wanted to create a special drink for the local children, so he added a scoop of vanilla ice cream to the glass of root beer. So where the cow comes in, they were looking out the window. He saw the snow-capped cow mountain in the moonlight, and then it was an instant hit and called Black Cow by the children for the dark color of the root beer and his reference to Cow Mountain.
That makes sense.
Now, if you put chocolate ice cream instead of vanilla, you get a brown cow.
Okay.
That's what they call it.
That works.
So you have your black cow, your brown cow.
That works.
Really quickly, before we go to break, on the 11th, we have National German Chocolate Cake Day.
Okay.
I have a really cool thing about that. It's actually not from Germany.
Of course not.
It was the gentleman's name who made the chocolate that's used for the cake.
Really?
His
Okay.
name is German, so it was called Germans with an apostrophe
I
S.
got it, but we dropped it.
The apostrophe S got dropped.
I got it.
And so that's where the confusion
Makes
comes
sense.
in.
Makes a lot of
We'll
sense.
talk more about all this stuff on the podcast. On the 12th, National Peanut Butter Cookie Day.
My favorite.
I have a great recipe for that. It's actually one that you brought to my attention, the tic-tac-toe on the back of the Heinz bottle.
Real quick before we go to break, did you notice how that has got national attention now?
Yes.
And we mentioned it first.
We did.
And
it's like the cronut.
And I'm going to do this right now, and I'm calling Justine, my friend Justine Azaric, out because I contacted her after she made this video about the Heinz ketchup cookie that we talked about months ago. And like I said, I found it on the back of a ketchup bottle after going to a grocery store, looked at it, and there's a peanut butter cookie recipe. And Justine did a video recently about how she made them. Let me just say, they must have tasted really good because her boyfriend ate them, but they don't look appetizing.
Well, I have the recipe. I'm gonna post it on our blog, and we're gonna try it, and we'll talk more about it again on the Just Dishin' podcast.
That works.
So if you want to go to justcookitradio.com and check that out. On the 13th, it's Kitchen Klutzes of America Day.
Hey,
so
that's my day. That's
all
my day
for you. And then on the 14th, National Strawberry Shortcake Day. Not to be confused with shortbread shortcake.
Or the cartoon character owned by American Greetings.
So we'll get more into all of that and the Just Dishin' podcast. But right now we have to go to break. When we come back, we will have, as we said, Brooklyn-based indie music artist Bess Rogers. And she wrote and performed the one and only Cheerios theme song, or the jingle that you've all heard on all the National Cheerios commercials. So we will have Bess on the line as soon as we return. And Just Cook It Radio is being served up to you today by the Big Barn Country Store and Deli, by Pareca Chiropractic Center, Inc., by 4th Street Barbecue, and by the Herald Standard.
And we'll be back with more of Just Cook It Radio here on Fayette TV Channel 77 and streaming online at FayetteTV.org. And we'd also like to thank our friend Phil Giannetti for all his help with the program. And also, we'll be back right here on your local station, 590 Radio WMBS. Phil Giannetti Motors at 656 National Pike East in Brownsville is a proud sponsor of programming on FCTV. Phil Giannetti Motors providing quality vehicles for 45 years. If you're looking for a quality pre-owned vehicle, give Phil Giannetti's a call at 724-785-6800 or stop by their website, philgiannettimotors.com.
Love will be the first thing that my eyes can see. Wrapped up in these arms so warm, with every smile I'm growing strong. We'll laugh until
Welcome back to Just Cook It Radio.
Dreaming in the grass underneath the sky. Oh, 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 the one and only Cheerios. As you grow older,
Well, it's good to have you back. You are listening to Just Cook It with Mario and Bill. I am Mario Pareca, and he
I'm
is
Bill Alexander.
Bill Alexander, that's right. And it's great to have you back, Bill. We have a very exciting guest on the line today that I've been excited about this interview for quite some time now. I know we talked about it last week at the farmers market.
Yeah, and I let it leak a few weeks ago too. So, but I'm really excited about this too because we actually get to talk to somebody kind of related to food, but yet in a totally different way.
And that's all what the new show's all about, food, life, and everything in between. So we're going to touch on food, a little life, and all the fun stuff in between. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Bess Rogers. Bess, I want to first of all thank you for your time, because I know that what a hectic schedule you have, and for giving us a few minutes. And I want to tell, and it's great to have you on. You wrote the
great to be here.
Yeah, people know you because if you have a TV, and I'm assuming most people do, chances are they've heard your voice quite a few times on the Cheerios.
Yeah. Sorry about that. I know some people are like, I've heard it like 50 times today.
Well, actually, I've heard it quite a few times, but there was one time I heard it when I was actually doing work. It was in the background on my TV. I was actually doing prep for the radio show, and I heard the song, and I sang it at least 50 times over the next 24 hours, so that's actually what let me... Well, when I'm singing it, I'm thinking, man, Cheerios must have done something right. I need to find out who wrote this song and who performed it. And that's what led me to you.
Now, Beth, I think
cool.
Everybody thinks the song is actually called The One and Only Cheerios, but it's not. It's called The Perfect Day, correct?
Well, there's two different versions, actually.
Okay.
There's a version that actually has the Cheerios jingle in it and the word Cheerios, and that's the one and only.
Okay.
And then I released a non-Cheerios version. It's essentially the same exact song. It just doesn't have the one and only Cheerios line in it. And that one's called The Perfect Day.
Okay.
So there's two slightly different versions, but they're almost the same thing.
So, Bess, my question to you is, now the Cheerios version of the song is a jingle, and we hear jingles all the time on different commercials, on the radio, everywhere. Is jingle writing different? Because I know you're a nationally known artist who travels and tours all over the country playing your own music. Is jingle writing different from regular composing of songs? And if so, where does it differ, and which one do you like better?
Well, it definitely is different, and it's something that I also really enjoy in a completely different way. But I feel like, writing a song, you're balancing your emotions and, things that really matter to you with your craft. And jingle writing is sort of like just the craft part to me. And they give you a very strict set of parameters that you have to squeeze something like really catchy and short and memorable into, and it has to, sort of embody the brand, and there's all these different kind of rules and parameters, which I find really fun and challenging to have to do something like that, because it's so different from writing your own song where sort of you can really do anything you want and go anywhere you want. So I find that a really fun challenge, and I enjoy it a lot. I think if I only wrote jingles and not songs that meant something to me, emotionally, then I probably would not feel very fulfilled. So I don't know if that explains which I like better.
Now, Bess, most of us, when we think of jingle writers, we think of TV and people that portray jingle writers. And the one I'm thinking of right now is on the TV program 2.5 Men when Charlie Sheen was on there. That's what he did.
Oh, I've actually never seen that show.
Oh, you haven't? Oh, then I can't
I know, I'm like
ask
the only person
question.
in the world who's never seen it.
Because I was going to ask, because the way he'd do it, he'd just sit at a piano and someone would give him something and he would just kick out something really catchy really quick. Is that the way you do it, or does it take you some time to learn about the product or to figure out what they want, like you just said, and try to make it into a neat little package?
Well, they usually give you like every once in a while they'll give you an actual commercial to score to. That was not the case with this, but sometimes they'll always give you some sort of idea, like we want it to be happy and joyful, or we want it to be empowering, and so they sort of give you an idea, and you have to just try to use that as inspiration. And so with this one, I had that melody kind of in mind for a while, and it was like over the course of a week we tweaked it, my husband and I, who is my producer, and so we created that together. And but I'd say like the main idea was like a couple of days of thinking about it. I make a lot of voice memos on my iPhone. If anyone found my phone, it'd be incredibly embarrassing. There's a lot of like me humming sad melodies in my car, but yeah. So I mean, it was sort of I was sort of thought about it all week and had it in my mind, and then we had a day and sat down and hashed out all the different ideas, and so it wasn't instant, but it wasn't months.
Well, I know what you mean. I know what you mean about the exactly about the iPhone thing, because if you get a hold of Bill's phone, there's a lot of radio spots that he just randomly records on his.
Right.
And the sad thing is, he's not making that up either. It's pretty much true. But
anyway, Bess, what I want to ask you too is, when it comes to when we're talking about jingles and we're talking about Cheerios, like I said, I'm not a stalker by any stretch of the imagination, but when we have guests on, I like to look at and see what they've been up to and read different articles. And the things I like to find are, like, on your Facebook page, things on off the beaten path that people have covered about you, just because you tend to get different questions from other sources. So I read somewhere that Cheerios has been a big part of your life from when you were young. Is that why when you found out about the Cheerios jingle that it was such an important jingle for you to write, and something you could really put your heart behind? Because I know earlier when you talked about writing music, you talked about something to really put your soul and your heart into.
Well, yeah, I mean, I definitely grew up eating Cheerios, so, and I think that I connected with the spirit of their campaign, and I think a lot of their campaign was focused on sort of like the emotional attachment that people have to, a product that they have grown up using and then continue to use as they're older. And so I felt like I related to that, and therefore was excited about doing it, yeah.
Now, Bess, has there ever been a product that you've done that you were really, it was like a questionable product, or you didn't really want to do, but you did it anyhow, or there have been ones that you actually turned down?
There hasn't been one that I have turned down, but there was one that I questioned. But it was like my song for a toilet paper commercial. But it was in like Korea, or it wasn't in America, so I was like, all right, maybe at least no one I know will see it.
So did you have to write the song in Korean?
No, and I didn't even get it was just, I was pitched for it and I didn't end up getting it, so I didn't need to make the decision. But that was for a moment I was like, should I pitch my song for this, or should I allow them to pitch it?
Because if you did it, I was going to ask you to link to the YouTube video so we could see it, because I think that would be
I know. I kind of, that would be great. I actually probably would have posted it and shared it with people and be like, this is pretty funny.
So how many jingles have you actually written for products that are being used?
Well, I just wrote that one jingle, and then right now I have a song in a Hershey's commercial. It's a cover of "I'm Into Something Good" by Herman's Hermits.
I've heard that, yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that was they were looking for people to cover that song, and we did it with that commercial in mind. So technically not a jingle because it's another song, but sort of. And then earlier last year I had written a song. It was actually for a different commercial, and then I didn't get that commercial, but the company that I work with kept on pitching it, the song that I had written, and it ended up being used in a Mott's for Tots apple juice commercial.
Oh, okay.
Now, my favorite Herman's Hermit song, now that you brought that up, has to be Henry VIII. If you remember that one, that's another catchy one, like the Cheerios theme that just gets stuck in my head. But anyway, aside from that, Bess,
you need to hear the version of that for the car dealership in Pittsburgh called Tom Henry.
Oh, yeah.
He's on Route 8. It's kind of interesting. My brother works for him, so a free plug for my brother's dealership.
Nice.
Along with that, Bess, with those commercials, I also found that your music is also featured on One Tree Hill, the TV show Pretty Little Liars, Raising the Bar, and Switched at Birth as well. Yeah. There's been a bunch of. There's been a few more too, but I cannot. Remember. I wish I could, but I don't actually. I've never really seen most of these shows because I don't really watch that much TV. So, but it is really exciting. I watch the episodes that they are on, and it's very, very thrilling. Well, the reason I bring that up is because Pretty Little Liars is I have a younger sister, and that's her absolute favorite TV show. And
nice.
I told her that I was interviewing the woman the artist who composed the Cheerios theme. She said, "Oh, that's cool." And then I said, "Well, she also has music on Pretty Little Liars," and she just like lit up. So I just want to say hi to you from her because, like I said, she's a huge fan of Pretty Little Liars, and she thinks it's the coolest thing that I can have you on the show.
Oh, man, cool.
And now when
some cool points.
And now when the program's on, Mario walks in the room and goes, "Hey, I talked to her."
That's right.
Anything fun that you've done now, so just to let you know.
You're like scores the cool big brother points.
That's right. And those are very hard to come by, believe me.
Yes. I'm happy to help.
Thank you. So now I also want to talk about your new recent project, your cover series, because I thought that was very interesting. It's called Bess Rogers Presents Songs Other People Wrote. So kind of take us through that and how that idea came to fruition and basically what it's all about.
Well, I'm currently writing new songs for a new record, new projects, and one of the things I've always enjoyed doing during the process of writing is learning other songs and sort of studying other songs that I love and getting inspiration from them. And so, I think some people like to kind of isolate themselves, and I find that inspires me. So I've always sort of done that. And then we had a couple of covers that my husband and I had like fully recorded and produced for various like licensing opportunities, people that were looking for covers, and they weren't released. So I decided that it would be a really fun thing over the next 6 months or year to release the two that we had in the bank, which is the Gin Blossoms cover that we released last month, and then this one coming up, which I don't want to say what it is because I want it to be a surprise. And then after that, we're going to be recording a cover every month, and it's sort of something to, put out into the world while I'm working on new stuff, kind of keep fans engaged and keep putting out new music, but it's also sort of a way to study and learn from the greats. A lot of these songs too were, the Gin Blossoms cover is very different, and we basically almost made it a new song completely. But the next one that we're doing is like almost note for note. We took a lot of arrangement ideas from the older song, but just did it in a new way, and that's really fun too. Because I'm like, oh, they did that. That's really cool. I never even heard that they did that, and so it's definitely a fun learning experience for me. And then, then I get to put new stuff out. So that's the story with that.
So, Bess, how long have you been performing music?
Oh, I've been performing. I've been playing music my whole life. I'd say I've been doing it professionally, touring and releasing albums and stuff since 2007.
Okay.
Before that, I went to school for music. I taught music lessons. I, always played music as a kid, but that was when I released my first record. Now,
what instrument did you play first, or?
Well, my first instrument, my mother actually played the harpsichord. And
cool.
So yeah, that was actually the first instrument that I learned on. And then, when I was, I guess in fourth grade, whenever you start an instrument, typically I picked up the flute, and I studied that pretty seriously. Like I had dreams of being a concert flautist, and I always feel stupid saying that word.
And it's a very dignified word.
Yes, but if you say flutist, people will correct you. And then when I was about 13 or 14, I started playing the guitar, and I right away started writing songs. That was sort of kind of a natural thing, and by 16 I was playing open mic nights every night, and then it was pretty much around that time I knew that I wanted to be a singer-songwriter, and then went to college for it after that, and it's all been a sort of focused track up until after that.
Yeah. Now, Bess, I read that the harpsichord that your mother played was actually built by your father. Is that true?
Yeah. My dad is a really cool dude and has built a variety of things all his life. So for a while, he built like 3 harpsichords, and then that was it. Then he switched to building cars. Like he just built houses, all this crazy stuff.
That's really impressive.
He just built a boat. That's his new thing.
Wow,
he built a boat.
Yeah, he's actually built like 4 boats in the past year. It's kind of crazy.
So he stays really busy too.
Yeah, exactly. But 2 of the harpsichords are still in my parents' living room, and one is in a museum somewhere. I don't know where, but.
Well,
yeah.
We're getting down to the wire here, Bess. So I have one more thing I want to bring to mind, then I'll let Bill ask one more question, and then we'll let you go, I promise, because I know how busy you are. Something interesting I found when I was looking at your Facebook page. It says your band's interests are mind control, origami, Triscuits, and white wine. Now,
I see the connection there. How about you?
Something that really popped out at me. First of all, I'm an avid mind control fan myself. I do it all the time with Bill, especially when we're recording the show.
Who doesn't love some good mind control?
Absolutely. Origami is fun. I never could really master it. I'm still working hard on it. Now,
yeah, I can still only make a cup. That's it.
I'm working. The swan's hard. It's coming though. I'm going to get the swan eventually. And the frogs that can jump too. Those are cool too because when we're recording,
those are pretty rad.
when we're doing the show, I want to make it jump onto Bill's keyboard as he's producing the show. But Triscuits. What's your favorite flavor of Triscuits?
I just like plain.
Plain, really? Have you tried the sun-dried tomato ones?
Ooh, no.
They're fantastic. You should try those.
I did not even know that those existed.
And when you eat your Triscuits, do you eat them plain or do you put something on them?
I like them plain, but I would put a little peanut butter on there, maybe a little almond butter.
Oh yeah, I'm a big almond butter fan myself. And as far as white wine goes, are you a sweet white wine person or a dry white wine person?
I'm a dry white wine person. I hate sweet wine.
Bess, whenever you're in Pittsburgh, you need to reach out and we can go out and have some sun-dried tomato Triscuits and dry white wine because that's right up my alley.
That sounds like heaven. I will take you up on that.
Hey, see, my mind control's working already.
Right. I'm like, wow, go to Pittsburgh now.
Yeah. There you go. So, Bill, do you have any other questions for Bess?
No, my Triscuit question was the last one. So,
Bess, before we let you go, please let us know where we can find more about you, where we can get your music, and where we can find also not only where to get your music, but your tour information as well.
Sure. You can find it all on BessRogers.com. So it's just BessRogers.com. And there's links to all my music where you can listen and buy, and my touring schedule is on there too.
Fantastic, Bess. Again, thank you so much for being on the program. Maybe we can have you back. Maybe we can have you back on again sometime in the future.
Sure, I would love that.
If you're ever in Pittsburgh, feel free to drop us a line. You could come in studio live. We'd love to have you. Maybe you can even play us one of your songs or something on the live.
Oh, that would be awesome. I would love that.
All right, Bess. Thanks so much. We really appreciate it. Bess Rogers, everyone, and that's it for this episode of Just Cook It Radio. But you can get more at our website at justcookitradio.com. And Bill, we have a lot going on over the next few weeks. We just unrolled the new show, so I want to remind people to go to the website, check us out on Facebook, on all our social media. I want to thank you for tuning in, and we'll talk to you in actually just a few minutes at justcookitradio.com for the after show. Right, Bill?
The Just Dishin' after show.
That's right. It is called Just Dishin' now. So
I got to get that through your head that you got to remember that we changed the name.
Use your mind control. Get me thinking right.
You have Bess use hers.
Yes. I want to thank Bess for being on again. For Bill Alexander and for Bess Rogers, I'm Mario Pareca, and we will talk to you in just a few minutes at justcookitradio.com.
You have been listening to Just Cook It Radio with Mario Pareca and Bill Alexander. For more information on this program and how to download it as a podcast, go to justcookitradio.com. If you have any questions or comments about the show, please call us at 1-855-590-0590.
This has been a $1 Million Baby production.